This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.
Hi, this is Joe. Welcome back. So, we're going to talk about ADX today, and I want to go into some details with ADX and the DI lines. It's a directional movement indicator, and we need to understand a few things about this before we can really put it into good use. So let's go ahead and get going with that. Now, if you want to learn more about some of these techniques and how I implement them in multiple timeframes, you can go to my book. It's at rabilstockresearch.com/book. Also, if you enjoy this content, please hit that like button and also subscribe. I'm looking at the weekly chart of BOX, Box Inc., and I've got my moving averages up with the price action. And in the bottom, I've taken everything off except the ADX along with the DI lines. All right. The blue line is the ADX line, and green line is the positive DI, positive directional index, and the red is the negative DI, or the negative directional index. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is kind of, we got to make sure we understand how this should be used, because we want to look at price first, all right, and then compare and contrast what's taking place in the momentum. All right. We don't do it the other way around. We don't look at the ADX first. And this goes for any indicator. If you're looking to use an indicator, you want to look at the price action and then compare and see whether it's confirming or refuting what we're seeing in the price action. All right. So that's first point. Now, we have, when green is making higher highs and higher lows and red is dropping and making lower highs and lower lows, the blue line is going to go up. All right. And that's going to be based on the strength of the buyers. Now, if the red line is going up and the green line is dropping, the blue line is still going to rise. Okay. It's a non-directional indicator. It doesn't care which direction the market's going. It's only trying to identify whether there's strength in that direction. All right. So it could rise based on the sellers being strong, or it could rise based on the buyers being strong. All right. Most of the people who have been on this channel know that, but I want to go a little bit deeper here and make sure you understand how to compare peaks, because we get a move to the upside here and there's a lot of strength in the move. So this gray line is delineating stocks that have the potential to keep carrying higher based on momentum. So I know ADX and most indicators have a lag to them, because these momentum indicators, in a lot of cases, they're being calculated based on price action, and then there's another calculation. So there's a significant 2 or 3 layers of math that is being done that's causing these to lag. All right. The price action is obviously going to be the quickest, because this is taking into account the move for the day. This is taking into account the moving average of price action. All right. So it's taking the price action, making a moving average of that. And then the blue line is based off of these two lines. So it's like a second or third derivative of the original price action. So when we know that, then we know that there is some lag. However, there's a leading component to this indicator. And that means that if we make a move to the upside here, and it is confirmed by ADX here, then we know that there's a pretty high probability on a pullback that we're going to at least come back and test that high. We're going to at least make another move up and test this high. That's the idea behind this, in terms of when you have strength in the momentum. You should expect, at least a test, if not a further continuation of the move. Now, if you notice what happened, we made a move up and then we pulled back, and then when we made a new high here, we confirmed it again. All right. And when we paused here, we went through an extended period. We finally broke out and made a pretty substantial move. But look at what happened here. Now, there was another green peak. All right. We made a new high here. You can see it in price, but you also want to be able to see when green breaks out above the red. All right. And in this case, it held and then made another new high. But as long as we're basically breaking out and making to a new high, we have another peak. So we get a positive peak here. We get another positive peak here. All right. So these are moves to the upside in price that are confirmed by new peaks in the ADX indicator. All right. And then we consolidate, we make another new high here. And then this is another positive peak, but look at how weak it is. You see where the blue line peaked out? It peaked out at like 17 or something like that. So we had a lot of strength here. And when we see this, we know we should be on the lookout for either reversal or an end of the up move. And that's basically what has taken place. Now, we did get a red peak here, all right, but it doesn't have a lot of strength. And we moved up, and this doesn't even qualify as a green peak. It didn't take out the red. All right. And then we had another red peak, didn't make a new high, but it tested this low. So we know we're basically at this point, we don't have a lot of strength. We have a lot of volatility because these red and green lines are poking up above here while this is staying low. And so we have no trend strength, but we have some volatility as these are popping up and down. Then we get another move to the upside here. We finally get a new green peak here. So this is another positive peak. So we get negative, right? These are positive, positive. This is positive, and then this one is a negative peak here. So I should be drawing that on this down here. So this would be positive, 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 and then negative, and then positive, and now back to negative. All right, so this drop here is another negative peak. All right, and then we made another red peak here. So again, when we make a red peak, then the promise of a red peak is that we're going to come back down and test. If you notice what happened, we did come back and test, but we didn't really follow through on that. And then we quite quickly got a reversal. All right, so green starts to show up again, taking out the prior peaks here, but not with much strength behind it. Okay, but then look at what happened. We get a move to the downside. Red cannot make a new peak. And then we get a move to the upside. And now we have real strength, breaks out above all of these highs. And it's the first time we really get the green going again. If you notice, green, the ADX crossing above 25 based on the green was back here in 2021. We did not get another cross above the blue line, crossing above the 25 level based on the buyers until, late 2024. Do you see how long that took? So all of this movement here is noise after we made this peak up here, basically with this peak here, where we didn't get confirmation. From that point, we had a couple of years where the ADX was telling you, no, there's just nothing to do here. All right, now I'm only doing this in a single time frame. Once we start to mix this over a monthly, weekly, and daily time frame, you can really start to zero in on the stocks that have not only a low ADX condition, but also low volatility. I mean, this isn't ideal just based on the volatility of the move. You see how much movement there's been? That's a massive amount of volatility. Ideally, we have a 25 line here. We'll have all three lines below 25 for an extended period when we're getting ready to break out. Those are the ones that probably have the most dynamic, powerful upside potential to them. That doesn't mean you can't trade this. This can definitely be a trading move. And if we look at this off of a monthly chart, it's a low ADX condition. So if we got this going, we could turn this into something a little bit more meaningful. But I didn't want to get into the multiple timeframes. I want you to just understand how this can be used as a great tool to, number one, confirm a move or refute. If we're going to a new high and we see there's a problem, all right, that's a huge advantage. This looks like it's a big breakout, but the ADX is telling you, no, this is not a good sign, okay? And we've got to be on the lookout for that. Now, this becomes a lot more glaring after we have made a strong move to the upside that has been confirmed by the ADX, meaning we've been moving up, and ADX was confirming, and now we make a new high and it does not confirm. That's where we know that this indication is a lot more important. And then from there on, it's a chop fest, up and down, chop fest, up and down, and now we're finally getting something meaningful to develop. So I hope this helps, especially for guys that like to trade off of a weekly and a daily chart. I think this understanding these concepts is going to be really helpful to you. The monthly weeklies can wiggle around and make a little movement. You can give them a little bit more breathing room, and ultimately they could quiet down to the point where they can break out and take off again. But with the weekly daily, You want to understand all of this volatility and how that should be interpreted and how it can be used to take advantage of a move in your favor. But, when you have this much volatility, you got to expect a lot of movement back and forth. It doesn't necessarily, this stock might not just, even though it looks really attractive, it might not go straight up. It might have to, might have to back and fill. It might have some issues. So just kind of keep that in mind. I think that use this to your advantage.